Gauri Sharma of Class 12B feel proud to stand in front of you for a very special purpose of igniting your mind and developing your soul. Independence is what we are here to celebrate, is what we are here to feel, and is what we are here to spread. Just think of a night when you are caged like a bird, unable to flap your wings and prevented from breathing in fresh air. But it is our lucky charm and good luck that we all are standing under the blue sky to commemorate the 77th Independence Day of our nation, our Bharat or Hindustan. It is always said, history not only teaches, it also preaches, if it properly reaches the masses. India's history of independence is the story of patriotic heroes, great martyrs, and many unsung heroes who were brilliant, intelligent, as well as full of patriotism, for whom personal relationship, personal pleasure, and individual benefit meant nothing. And they had only dreamt to get our Bharat Mata unchained from the cruel rule of that colonial government. So, not to take much of your time, here is the whole story of India's struggle, which will be showcased, and tribute will be offered to the great sons of the soil. Here, we are going to tell our students who are assembled here the importance of India's struggle that lasted for a span of 90 years, initiating 1857 and concluding 1947, where our great heroes broke the shackle of slavery and full access was provided to our motherland. Now, we are taking you to the year 1857. We all know the condition at which Indians were living at that time. It was the first time that Indians gathered courage to protest against the cruel rule of the British government. The golden bird, Sone ki Chidiya, was losing its resources. They were extracted and sent to England. Meanwhile, a star was born, a revolutionary incarnated, the Sepoy Mangal Pandey. Mangal Pandey was a revolutionary born in Balia, Uttar Pradesh. He not only sacrificed his life, but also made others awake. At that time, a rumor spread that the bullets or the cartridges that the Indian soldiers were using were made out of cows and pig's flesh. Being an Indian and mainly a Hindu, it was impossible for Mangal Pandey to use those bullets. He revolted against the British officers and also propagated and advised other soldiers to not to use those bullets as it will be against their religious beliefs.
Mangal Pandey, come inside. Yes sir. तुम लोगों को ये गोली इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा. तुम लोग ब्रिटिश सरकार के अधीन है और ये ब्रिटिश सरकार का फरमान है. Understood you bloody Indians? नहीं, हम इन गोलियों का नहीं कर सकते. How dare you to question the East India Company? इन गोलियों में गाय माता का आवाज इस्तेमाल हुआ है और हर एक भारतीय के लिए गाय माता समान होती है. Aren't you aware of about your present butter? नहीं करेंगे मतलब नहीं करेंगे. फांसी पे लटका दो इसको. चाहे हमें फांसी पे ही क्यों ना लटका दो. फांसी पे लटका दिया जाए इसे.
He fought against the British officers and eventually lost his life. He was hanged. And that is why he remains an immortal hero in the life of every Indian. But his courage, his valor, and his revolt led the way for other Indians to fight against the Britishers. A sepoy who is a legend, Mangal Pandey. Now, what does annexation means? It means it was a policy of the British Empire to broaden the margins, not by winning, but by deceiving, by cheating. It was extensively used by Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General of the East India Company.
Now I am thinking to expand our empire in India. It is time to implement a new policy, that is doctrine of lapse.
But this policy was opposed by a revolutionary. This policy actually means it implements that the adopted sons and daughters cannot be the rulers, and hence the empire will be taken over by the Britishers, and the rule will also be taken over by the British officers. It was opposed by a revolutionary. She captured the nerves of the Indians, and she was a lady. It was a miracle that we witnessed at that time in the form of Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi. Unse lo har bolo ki खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी।
आपकी मृत्यु के बाद आपका यह साम्राज्य हमारे ब्रिटिश एम्पायर में मिला दिया जाएगा।
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता।
यह हो चुका है। It is under a new policy, doctrine of lapse.
मेरे जीते जी, ये झांसी तुम्हारी कभी नहीं हो सकती।
मैंने कह दिया, सब कह दिया। ये झांसी हमारी है, इसका मतलब हमारी है। अब ये झांसी तुम्हारी कभी नहीं हो सकती।
मैं झांसी की रानी हूँ और इस धरती माँ की बेटी। मेरे होते हुए कोई भी फिरंगी झांसी को हाथ नहीं लगा सकता। मैं अपनी झांसी किसी को नहीं दूंगी, चाहे उसके लिए मुझे अपनी जान क्यों ना देना पड़े। झांसी मेरी आन है, शान है, ईमान है। She eventually lost her life fighting for her Jhansi, for her empire. But she still remains an immortal heroine. She is still worshipped as an incarnation of goddess Durga.
सिलसिलाए बात मेरे यूं ही चलना चाहिए। मैं रहूं या ना रहूं, भारत ये रहना चाहिए।
But friends, the story of our independence is really very lengthy. Years of struggles, sacrifices, and sleepless nights has given us our independence, our freedom. So this is not the end, but the beginning. Tomorrow and further going on, we are going to witness how the struggle for our azadi, for our freedom was carried out by our great freedom fighters. And ending, I would like to give upon my words by saying two Hindi lines and paying tribute to the martyrs. that शहीदों की चिताओं पे लगेंगे हर बरस मेले, शहीदों की चिताओं पर लगेंगे हर बरस मेले, वतन पे मिटने वालों का यही निशा होगा, वतन पे मर मिटने वालों का यही निशा होगा। भारत माता की, भारत माता की।
Good morning. A warm welcome to the respected Managing Director, Kamlesh Bhandari Ma'am, Academic Director, Guru Rani Sir, Administrative Officer, Anshul Sir, teachers, and my dear friends. Today we are going to display the struggle of India for freedom. Let's forget all our cultural differences and unite as true Indians. Let's pay our tribute to the martyrs who have sacrificed their lives for the freedom of our country. So let's begin.
Partition of Bengal, also known as Bangam, took place in the year 1905. It was led by Lord Curzon. He was the Viceroy of India. At the time, Bengal was a large province. It consisted of Bihar, Assam, and many other Indian states. As it was too large, there lived enormous population of British India. Therefore, it was too hard to be handled single-handedly. Therefore, the Viceroy, Lord Curzon, decided to divide Bengal in two parts, East Bengal and West Bengal, on the basis of administration. He said that he wanted to divide Bengal in order for The reality was that he wanted to divide India on the basis of religion. He wanted to gain the trust and support of Muslim majority and break the unity of India. Therefore, he was following the policy of divide and rule.
Congrats, now you are the Viceroy of India.
Thanks. Yes, India is a very beautiful country. We have to rule over it.
हाँ आपने सही बोला, इंडिया काफी सुंदर देश है, हमें उस पे अपनी हुकूमत जमानी होगी.
See the unity. We have to divide them. Then we can rule.
हाँ हमें पहले इन गवारों की एकता तोड़नी पड़ेगी, तभी हम इन पे अपनी हुकूमत जमा पाएंगे.
We have to divide them, we will rule.
हाँ हम इनकी एकता तोड़ देंगे और हिंदुस्तान में पूरे ब्रिटिश इंडिया का राज होगा.
And now comes the Swadeshi movement and the boycott movement. The movement was started by the Lord Curzon's decision on dividing the province of Bengal. The partition led to protect meeting in Bengal, under which the pledge to boycott foreign goods was first taken. The partition was introduced by moderates to exert pressure on government to prevent the unjust partition of Bengal from being implemented. The petitions were written to the government when public meetings were held, and the ITRs were spread through newspapers such as Hitabdi, Sanjeevani and Bengali. This partition led to protest meetings in Bengal, under which the pledge to boycott foreign goods was first taken. In Calcutta 1905, at the Calcutta Town Hall, a massive meeting was held, under which the pledge to boycott foreign goods such as Manchester clothes and Liverpool salts were taken. After the partition came into force, a widespread opposition of people were taken by the Bengal singing Vande Mataram.
Arrival of Mahatma Gandhi. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, also known as Mahatma Gandhi. In South Africa, he had fought against the racial discrimination, where he won by using his two special weapons, Satyagraha and Ahimsa. When he returned India, he thought that Indians also need some Satyagraha to protect them from the slavery without any violence. So he thought of meeting with the Gopal Krishna Gokhale.
प्रणाम महोदय, मैं मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी अफ्रीका से बैरिस्टर बन के आया हूँ. आप हमें ये बताइए कि हम भारत को कैसे आज़ाद कर सकते हैं.
सबसे पहले आप पूरे भारत का वर्णन कीजिए.
धन्यवाद महोदय.
Thank you everyone for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, and the freedom struggle will continue.
दिलाने के लिए जिन जिन जवानों ने अपनी जान गंवाई थी, उनमें ना कोई हिंदू, ना कोई मुस्लिम, सिख था, ना उनकी पहचान ईसाई थी. देश को आजाद करने का सपना जिन आंखों ने देखा था, उनके आगे अंग्रेजों ने भी अपना माथा टेका था. आज क्यों ना खुद की सोच को आजाद बना ले हम. आज क्यों ना खुद की सोच को आजाद बना ले हम. राम के घर ईद मना ले और रहीम के घर दिया जला ले हम.
The Rowlatt Act of 1990 was a controversial law enacted by the British colonial government during British rule. It was named after the British judge Sidney Rowlatt, who headed the committee that drafted the legislation. It enabled the government some sweeping powers to suppress the political dissent and arrest them without any warrant. It met with a widespread opposition from Indian leaders and citizens who saw it as a direct assault on their civil liberties and fundamental rights. It enabled the government to arrest and detain the individuals without any warrant and detain them for an indefinite period without any trial or legal representation. These oppressive measures sparked a wave of protest and civil disobedience across the country. The Indian National Congress, led by Mahatma Gandhi, vehemently opposed the act and called for a non-cooperation movement Stay tuned. The Jallianwala Bagh Massacre. The Jallianwala Bagh Massacre was a tragic incident that occurred on April 30, 1919 in Amritsar, Punjab, India during the British colonial rule. On that fateful day, a large crowd of peaceful protesters, including men, women and children, had gathered at Jallianwala Bagh, a public garden, to voice their opposition to the oppressive Rowlatt Act. The British colonial authorities, led by the General Reginald Dyer, responded with a heavy-handed show of force. Without any warning, Dyer ordered his troops to open fire on the unarmed and unsuspected crowd, blocking the only exit by the armed soldiers. The soldiers continued fire for about 10 minutes, unleashing a hail of bullets on the helpless crowd, resulting in hundreds of deaths and many more injured. The Jallianwala Bagh Massacre sparked a widespread outrage and horror both in India and around the world. The symbol of British tyranny disregarded human rights under the colonial rule. It also fueled the Indian independence movement. The cruelty of the massacre and the sheer loss of innocent life intensified the demand for self-rule and served as a catalyst in the non-cooperation movement led by Mahatma Gandhi. The massacre's impact was felt throughout the India.
सुना है अंग्रेजों ने भारतीयों पर बहुत जुल्म ढा रखे हैं।
हाँ बहन, ऐसा ही कुछ मैंने भी सुना। कल मैं पास के गांव में गई थी तो वहाँ लोग बातें कर रहे थे।
हाँ, एक नया एक्ट आया है जिसमें हर एक भारतवासी को बिना एक्ट के
शहर में जनरल डायर ने मार्शल लॉ लगा दिया है। अगर किसी भी नौजवान ने 8 बजे के बाद शहर से बाहर निकलने की कोशिश की तो उसे गोली मार दी जाएगी। सुनो सुनो सुनो।
हे भगवान, क्या मुसीबत आ गई है। मार्शल लॉ लग चुका है जिसके अनुसार हमें अपने घर से बाहर निकलने की अनुमति नहीं दी गई है। तो क्या अब हमारी आजादी भी छीन ली जाएगी? आखिर कब तक हम इन अंग्रेजों के गुलाम बनते रहेंगे? भाइयों और बहनों, आप लोग जानते हैं इन अंग्रेजों ने हम हिंदुस्तानियों पर कितने जुल्म कर रखे हैं और अब तो इनका जुल्म इतना बढ़ चुका है कि हम हिंदुस्तानियों को हमारे ही घरों से निकलने की आजादी नहीं रही और अब हम और बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे और अंग्रेजी सरकार के खिलाफ विद्रोह करेंगे। अंग्रेजी सरकार,
सब लोग को सूचित किया जाता है कि जनरल डायर आ रहे हैं।
तुम लोग सरकार से गद्दारी करता है, उसके रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस को तोड़ता है। तुम लोगों को इसका सजा जरूर मिलेगा। तुम लोगों को फ्रीडम चाहिए, मिलेगा, कंप्लीट फ्रीडम मिलेगा। सोल्जर्स, टेक पोजीशन, फायर।
The Khilafat movement was a significant political and religious movement in India that began in early 1920s. It was initiated to protest against the disintegration of the Ottoman Empire and to support the cause of preserving the spiritual and political leadership of the Muslim community, especially during the aftermath of World War I. The movement gained its momentum after the end of the war when the Treaty of Sevres was signed in 1920, which dismantled the Ottoman Empire and threatened the position of the Caliphate. The British colonial authorities supported the treaty, leading to a widespread discontent among Indian Muslims, and in response to these developments, some prominent Indian Muslim leaders, including the Ali brothers, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Shaukat Ali, along with Mahatma Gandhi and some other Indian nationalist leaders, joined hands to launch the Khilafat movement. They believed that the Khilafat cause was an opportunity to unite Hindu and Muslim communities in their common struggle against the British colonial rule. The Khilafat movement included some political and some religious elements in demanding that the British government will protect the Caliphate and restore its authority. The Muslims from different parts of India actively participated in the protest and demonstration. The non-cooperation movement. The non Non-Cooperation Movement was the significant campaign in India's struggle for independence. It was launched by Mahatma Gandhi in 1920 as a response to the oppressive Rowlatt Act and the Khilafat movement. The main motto of Gandhiji behind the non-cooperation movement was to unite Hindus and Muslims. Other than that, the main objective of the non-cooperation movement was to exert non-violent pressure on the British government by boycotting British administration, products and services. Gandhiji urged Indians to withdraw their cooperation from the British administration, the legal system and the educational system. The movement gained massive support from people across different social and economical backgrounds. Indians also boycotted British goods, products and services. They also refused to pay taxes and participate in official ceremonies. One of the pivotal movements of the non-cooperation movement was the Chauri Chaura incident in 1922. In Chauri Chaura, Uttar Pradesh, a protest turned violent, resulting in the deaths of police officers. In response, Gandhiji called off the non-cooperation movement, realizing that the principle of non-violence must be upheld all times. It united people under a common cause and also the power of non-violent resistance. Gandhiji's philosophy of non-violence became a central tenet of India's struggle for independence.
भाईजान, सुना है विश्व युद्ध के बाद हमारे बाकी ऐसी स्थिति आ गई है कि हमारे बाकी मुसलमान भाइयों को तुर्की में खलीफाओं को उनके पदों से हटा दिया गया है। हाँ भाईजान, आप बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं। हमें हमारे सुन्नी खलीफा भाइयों की मदद करनी चाहिए। तो हमें और मुसलमान भाई जैसे शेख शौकत, मौलाना आजाद से बात करनी चाहिए और एक ऑल इंडिया खिलाफत कमेटी बैठानी चाहिए। अरे भाईजान, आप यहाँ कैसे?
भाई, आप अपने आप को अकेला मत समझिए। सभी हिंदू भाई भी आपके साथ हैं। सदियों से जो हिंदू मुसलमान भाइयों ने अपनी एकता की मिसाल कायम रखी है, आज उसी एकता को हम विशाल जन आंदोलन का रूप देकर असहयोग आंदोलन की शुरुआत करेंगे।
पर ये हम करेंगे कैसे?
इस आंदोलन की शुरुआत हम सरकारी स्कूल, कॉलेजों व विधायी परिषदों का बहिष्कार करके करेंगे। सरकारी कार्य, उपाधियों व सम्मानों का समर्पण करके करेंगे, किंतु अहिंसा से। कोई भी हिंसा का प्रयोग नहीं करेगा।
लेकिन इन सब से होगा क्या?
देखो जिन्ना, ये ब्रिटिश हम पर इतने वर्षों से इसीलिए राज कर पाए हैं क्योंकि हमने इन्हें सहयोग किया है, किंतु अब हमें अपनी नीति को बदलना होगा, तभी ब्रिटिश राज का अंत होगा।
जी गांधी जी, आप बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं।
हमें लगता है कि अब हमें असहयोग आंदोलन को बंद कर देना चाहिए। कार्यक्रम के शुरुआत में ही निर्धारित किया गया था कि कोई भी हिंसा का प्रयोग नहीं करेगा, किंतु लोगों ने न केवल विदेशी वस्तुओं को जलाया बल्कि चौरी चौराहा का पुलिस स्टेशन ही जला दिया, जिसमें कि 22 पुलिसकर्मी मारे गए। अभी लोगों को अहिंसा का सही अर्थ समझना बाकी है।
The Simon Commission, officially known as the Statutory Commission on Indian Constitutional Reforms, was established by the British government in 1927. It was tasked with reviewing and making recommendations for India's constitutional structure and governance. The commission, composed entirely of British members with no Indian representation, which caused a significant resentment among Indians who demanded for more say in the decision-making process. This lack of Indian representation led to a widespread boycotts and protests across the country, and the Indian National Congress and the other political parties demanded for Swaraj or self-rule instead. The Lahore session refers to the official meeting of the Indian National Congress that took place in Lahore, Punjab during December 1929. The session was widely remembered for the adoption of the famous resolution which is known as the Purna Swaraj, which means the complete independence. January 26, 1930 was remembered as Independence Day, where all Indians would demand for the independence from the British rule. Subsequently, 26, 1930 was remembered as Independence Day for several years when India got the complete independence on August 15, 1947.
And the struggle for independence is to be continued. In 1930, it was a movement to protest against the British colonial government through non-violence and non-cooperation. In response to Simon Commission's failure to address Indian demand for self-rule, Mahatma Gandhi and the Indian National Congress called for a massive civil disobedience movement.
The Salt March, also known as the Dandi March, is an act of non-violence which was led by Mahatma Gandhi.
The march lasted for 24 days, beginning from 12th March to 5th April 1930. Among the 78 marchers, most of them were between the age of 20 and 30.
As civil disobedience needed a strong inauguration that would help people to follow Gandhi's example, Gandhi started the Dandi March with 78 of his trusted volunteers from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi. The march spanned approximately about 384 kilometers, which is 240 miles, from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi. Growing number of people joined the long way when Gandhi broke the British Raj Salt Law at 8:30 am on 6 April 1930. It sparked a large scale of civil disobedience movement among the Indians.
Just before the planned actions at Darsana, the Salt March and the Darsana Satyagraha drew worldwide attention through newspaper coverage. The march continued for about an year and it ended with Gandhi's release from jail, negotiations with Lord Irwin and the Second Roundtable Conference.
Hanging of Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh, Shivaram Rajguru and Sukhdev Thapar were revolutionary freedom fighters who played a significant role. They were sentenced as also for their specifically in the assassination of the British police officer named James A. Saunders.
This act was as a retaliation for the brutal death of Lala Lajpat Rai, who was badly injured in the protest of Simon Commission and is later succumbed to his injuries. These brave heroes encouraged people to come forward and participate in the act of independence. Sukhdev, Rajguru and Bhagat Singh are seen as national heroes whose sacrifice India will never forget.
क्या आप अपने अंतिम समय में कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं?
यह अंतिम समय नहीं है जनरल साहब, यह तो हमारी आखिरी उम्मीद है। मैंने तो एक दिन सभी ने है, मौत तो हर किसी को आनी है। खून जो खोलता नहीं वो खून किस काम का? गुलामी सहकर बेड़ियों में जब ले गए तो इन बाजुओं की ताकत किस काम की?
हमें मरने का दुख नहीं है जनरल साहब, हमें तो इस बात की खुशी है कि हमारे मरने के बाद भी क्रांति की यह आग आगे चलती रहेगी। हम तो चले आज खुशी खुशी मरने, लेकिन तुम सब भी ज्यादा दिन खुश नहीं रह पाओगे। आज हम लटक रहे हैं, कल तुम्हें जगह नहीं मिलेगी इस धरती पर दफन होने की। तुम खुश नसीब हो कि तुम्हारा अंत इस भारत माँ की मट्टी पर होगा।
26 करोड़ स्वाभिमानी दस्तक गूंज रही है। हमारे पीछे कोई मरेगा नहीं बल्कि जिंदा रहेगा। हमारे पीछे कोई रोएगा नहीं बल्कि दबकर रोएगा। भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, वंदे वंदे, इनकलाब इनकलाब।
to discuss the constitutional reforms and India's future political The three roundtable conferences was held between November 30 to January 1932.
The first roundtable conference was held between November 1930 to January 1931. It was boycotted by the Indian National Congress because they believed that the British government did not make any sincere efforts to include all the parties in the conference. However, many regional parties from different states of the country attended the conference. Despite all of this, no concrete agreement was made.
The second roundtable conference took place from September to December 1931. The British government invited the Indian National Congress, but there were still disagreements between the composition of the Indian delegation and other issues. The conference failed to achieve a consensus on the future political structure of India.
The third roundtable conference was between November to December 1932. It aimed to address the communal rights and the question of electorates to different regional parties. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was representing the depressed classes, Dalits, and played a significant role in the roundtable. The result was the communal award, which gave them right to represent different states. However, with all these roundtable conferences, they could not come to any statutory conclusion and did not frame anything for India's political framework.
Quit India movement. The Quit India movement was also known as Bharat Chodo Andolan, which was led by Mahatma Gandhi and Indian National Congress on 8 August 1942. The movement was a call for civil disobedience or immediate withdrawal of British administration from India. It aimed to demand self-rule and independence for the country.
The slogan "Do or Die" became synonymous with the movement, encouraging many people to come forward and give their all for independence.
Despite the mass mobilization and strong public support, the Quit India movement faced immense challenges due to British authorities. Many leaders were imprisoned, including Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and others.
They strengthened the resolve of Indians and made the country united, which helped in achieving their goal of independence. This goal was finally accomplished on 15th of August 1947, and this day is widely celebrated as India's Independence Day.